Hey, old timer, you can't be out here like this. You drinking this morning?
This is my store. I open up every morning. Margaret knows.
Sir, look at me. You steal this from inside?
I own it. I own all of it. Ask Margaret.
What you just watched was not a confrontation between a police officer and a criminal. It was not a drug bust. It was not a robbery response. It was not a violent incident requiring immediate physical intervention of any kind. What you just watched was a 68-year-old black man with Alzheimer's disease standing outside a gas station on a Tuesday morning in January, holding a carton of orange juice, believing with complete and total sincerity that he was opening up his own store. His name is Walter Eugene Pruitt. He is 68 years old. He is a retired school custodian from Harlan County. He has been living with a diagnosed Alzheimer's condition for 4 years. And on the morning of January 13, 2026, in Carthage, Tennessee, that diagnosis did not protect him from what happened next. It did not protect him from Officer Cody Drayton. Here is what the bodycam footage, the dashcam footage, and witness accounts confirm happened that morning. Walter Pruitt had wandered from his daughter's home sometime before 7 a.m. His daughter, Denise Pruitt Okafor, told investigators he had done this once before, walked out in the early morning believing he had somewhere to be. She had installed a door alarm specifically to prevent it from happening again. That morning, the alarm malfunctioned. Walter walked approximately 6 blocks to the Sunoco station on Birchwood Avenue. According to the store clerk on duty, Amara Osei, Walter walked in calmly, picked up a carton of orange juice from the cooler, and walked behind the counter, apparently believing he was going to his register. Amara described him as not aggressive, not threatening, just confused, like he was somewhere else entirely. She did not want to agitate him. She stepped aside and called her manager. Her manager arrived within minutes. He immediately recognized that Walter was not in his right mind. He did not call 911 to report a theft. He did not call 911 to report a disturbance. He called 911 specifically requesting a welfare check, asking for someone to help get the man home safely. His exact words to the dispatcher, preserved on the 911 recording: "There's an elderly man out here who doesn't know where he is. He's not being aggressive at all. He just needs help getting home. Can you send someone?" What was dispatched instead was Officer Cody Drayton, 26 years old, 14 months on the force, responding to what had been logged in the dispatch system as a possible theft and disorderly conduct at the Birchwood Sunoco. That mismatch between what the store manager asked for and what the system sent is the first institutional failure in a morning full of them. It would not be the last. Officer Drayton arrived at 7:22 a.m. By that point, Walter had moved outside onto the station's front sidewalk, standing beneath the fuel canopy, still holding his orange juice, looking out at the street as though waiting for a familiar face. He was not running, he was not fighting, he was not threatening anyone. He was an old man standing in the January cold, lost inside his own mind. The bodycam footage shows Officer Drayton approaching with immediate condescension, calling Walter old-timer within the first 5 seconds of contact. Not the measured, careful tone recommended by every de-escalation protocol in the Carthage PD's own training manual for encounters with individuals displaying signs of cognitive impairment. Within 60 seconds of making contact, Drayton had concluded, without any medical basis whatsoever, that Walter was intoxicated. He radioed it as a possible intoxicated male, non-compliant, before Walter had said more than 2 sentences. At no point during that radio call did Drayton consider an alternative explanation for what he was seeing. At no point did he ask Walter if he had any medical conditions. At no point did he ask Walter for emergency contact information. Walter told him multiple times, calmly, patiently, without aggression, "This is my store. I open up every morning. Margaret knows. I own all of it." And Drayton heard every single word of that and filed it under intoxicated and non-compliant. When Walter turned to shuffle back toward the store entrance, not fleeing, not attacking,
simply moving the way an old man moves when he believes he has a register to open. Officer Drayton made his decision.
What happened next is difficult to watch. Drayton moved in from behind. He grabbed Walter Pruitt, all 68 years, 147 pounds of him, by the back of his shirt collar and the waistband of his trousers. He lifted him, and he drove him forward and face first down onto the concrete sidewalk with full force. Walter's hands never came up to break the fall. He had no warning, no time. His cheek, his jaw, and the right side of his forehead absorbed the full impact of that landing directly against the pavement. As Walter lay face down and completely motionless on the concrete, Officer Drayton stepped forward and dropped his knee hard onto the back of Walter's neck and upper shoulder area, pressing the full weight of his body through that knee, pinning Walter's face against the pavement. Walter Pruitt, a 68-year-old man with Alzheimer's disease who had walked to a gas station to get orange juice, lay with his face on cold concrete, a police officer's knee crushing the back of his neck, for 1 minute and 47 seconds. He kept saying one word, Margaret. That is his late wife's name. She passed in 2019. And then came the lies. When Officer Drayton's backup arrived, Officer Priya Sandoval, 3 years on the force, Drayton's account of what had just happened began to shift almost immediately. On his own body cam, recorded within minutes of the takedown, Drayton told Sandoval that Walter had lunged at him, had grabbed for his belt, and had actively fought and resisted lawful commands before becoming physically combative. None of that is on the footage. What is on the footage is an old man saying, "This is my store," and "Why are you in my store?" and "Margaret knows," and then being grabbed from behind, lifted off the ground, and driven face first into concrete. That is what is on the footage, every second of it. Sandoval did not challenge Drayton's account. She wrote her supplemental report consistent with his version of events. When EMS arrived on scene at 7:31 a.m., 9 minutes after Drayton made first contact, paramedic Leah Stoudemire immediately identified Walter as a memory-impaired individual in acute medical distress. She noted his confused and non-responsive state in her report within the first minute of assessment. Stoudemire's evaluation confirmed Walter had sustained a fractured right cheekbone, a deep facial laceration requiring stitches, and significant soft tissue trauma to the neck consistent with sustained compressive force. She told the officers on scene clearly and directly, "This man needs to go to the hospital right now." Officer Drayton refused to release Walter to emergency medical transport. He told Stoudemire, and this exchange is captured on her own body cam, that Walter was under arrest and would receive medical clearance at the county facility. When Stoudemire pushed back and told Drayton that Walter's injuries required emergency hospital evaluation, Drayton's response, recorded clearly on audio, "He's fine. He was fighting us. He'll get checked out at booking." EMS was forced to escalate to their supervisor by radio before Drayton finally relented. Walter Pruitt arrived at Vanderbilt University Medical Center at 8:14 a.m. on January 13, 2026. He was treated for a fractured right zygoma, facial lacerations requiring 11 stitches, and cervical soft tissue injury consistent with compression. He was admitted overnight for neurological observation, given his existing cognitive condition. His daughter Denise learned what had happened when a hospital social worker called her at 8:40 a.m. She had been driving the neighborhood looking for her father since 7:05. The criminal charges filed against Walter Pruitt that morning were 3: misdemeanor theft of property for the orange juice, disorderly conduct, and resisting arrest with physical force, a charge that, depending on prosecutorial discretion in Smith County, carries the possibility of up to 18 months in a Tennessee correctional facility. The orange juice was valued at $3.49. Walter Pruitt, a man with Alzheimer's disease who did not know what city he was in, who believed he was opening his own store, who called out for a wife who has been dead for 6 years, was facing felony-adjacent criminal charges and the possibility of state prison within 2 hours of sunrise on a Tuesday morning. When Denise Pruitt O'Coffer arrived at the hospital and saw her father, his face bruised and stitched, his neck bandaged, asking repeatedly for Margaret, she did what any daughter with any sense would do. She called a lawyer. Attorney Raymond Achebe of the Civil Rights Defense Clinic in Nashville received the case on January 14th. He reviewed the full, unedited body cam footage within 24 hours. He reviewed the dash cam footage. He reviewed the 911 call recording. He reviewed Drayton's incident report, Sandoval's supplemental report, and EMS paramedic Stoutemeyer's medical assessment. On January 15, 2026, 2 days after Walter Pruitt's face hit the concrete, Achebe filed formal complaints with the Carthage Police Department, the Smith County District Attorney's Office, and the Tennessee Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission simultaneously. On January 22, 2026, Achebe filed a federal civil lawsuit in the United States District Court for the Middle District of Tennessee on behalf of Walter Pruitt and his daughter, Denise Pruitt O'Coffer. The suit names Officer Cody Drayton personally. It names the Carthage Police Department, it names the City of Carthage, and it names the police department's supervising command structure for what Achebe described in his filing as a systemic failure to train officers in cognitive impairment recognition and de-escalation protocols for vulnerable adults. The lawsuit seeks $9.5 million in damages. That figure breaks down across 4 claims. The first is a federal civil rights claim under 42 U.S.C. Section 1983 for excessive force. The body cam footage of a 68-year-old Alzheimer's patient being lifted from behind and driven face-first into concrete by a 26-year-old officer responding to a $3.49 orange juice is, in Achebe's words in the filing, among the most straightforward excessive force cases he has encountered in 19 years of civil rights litigation. The second claim is an Americans with Disabilities Act violation, specifically the Carthage Police Department's failure to accommodate Walter's documented disability during the encounter, and the department's failure to train its officers to recognize and appropriately respond to individuals displaying symptoms of cognitive impairment. The third is a state tort claim for battery, the physical act of the takedown and the sustained knee compression on Walter's neck. The fourth is a claim for deliberate indifference to serious medical need, for the period during which Officer Drayton refused to allow paramedics to transport Walter to the hospital, despite EMS recommending immediate emergency care, a decision that Achebe argues placed Walter's life in direct and documented danger. The $9.5 million figure Achebe stated in his press conference on January 23 reflects not just the physical injuries Walter sustained, though a fractured cheekbone, 11 stitches, cervical trauma, and extended neurological observation for an Alzheimer's patient are not minor, but the totality of what was done to this man, the violence, the refusal of medical care, the criminal charges filed against a man who did not know where he was, and the lie told on the incident report about what precipitated the use of force, a lie that the body cam footage disproves within seconds of being reviewed.
As of the date of this video, here is where things stand. The Smith County District Attorney's Office announced on January 28th that the misdemeanor theft charge and the disorderly conduct charge against Walter Pruitt have been dismissed. The resisting arrest charge, as of this recording, remains under review. The DA's office has not confirmed whether it will be dropped or pursued. If it is pursued, if the state of Tennessee moves forward with a resisting arrest charge against a 68-year-old Alzheimer's patient based on an incident report that the Bodycam footage directly contradicts, that decision will become its own story. Officer Cody Drayton has been placed on administrative desk duty pending the outcome of the department's internal review. He has not been suspended, he has not been terminated, he has not been charged with any criminal offense. As of January 13, 2026, the Carthage Police Department's official public statement read as follows: "The department is aware of the incident and is conducting an internal review consistent with departmental policy. We take all community concerns seriously." That statement has not been updated. Officer Drayton's incident report, the one that describes Walter Pruitt as having lunged, grabbed for his belt, and actively fought, remains the official department record of what happened on January 13th. It has not been corrected, it has not been retracted. It sits in the Carthage PD case file directly alongside Bodycam footage that proves it false, apparently without anyone in the department's command structure finding that contradiction worth addressing publicly. The Tennessee Peace Officers Standards and Training Commission has confirmed it has opened a formal inquiry. That inquiry has no published timeline. Walter Pruitt is home now. He is sleeping more than usual, his daughter says. He has not asked about the gas station. He does not remember January 13th, which, depending on how you look at it, is either a mercy or the saddest detail in this entire story. What Walter cannot forget, because he never knew it happened, is that on a cold Tuesday morning, he walked to a store he believed was his, carrying orange juice he believed he had every right to, waiting for a wife who has been gone 6 years. And the response this city sent him was a 26-year-old officer who lifted him off the ground and put his face on concrete, and then told his supervisor he had lunged. The Bodycam footage is still available. The medical records are filed. The lawsuit is active in federal court, and Officer Cody Drayton is sitting at a desk inside the Carthage Police Department right now, today, with the full institutional backing of a department that has not corrected a single word of his incident report. $2.5 million. That is what January 13th is going to cost the city of Carthage, Tennessee. That is what it costs when you put a confused old man's face on concrete over a $3.49 carton of orange juice. That is what it costs when you file a false report. That is what it costs when you tell a paramedic that a man with Alzheimer's will get checked out at booking. And that, right there, is why the Bodycam exists, so that we can all see exactly what happened, and so that nobody gets to pretend that it didn't.